Each year in the United States, thousands of major crimes go unsolved. When the case has gone cold and police have nowhere to turn, they seek assistance from the public. This is a program dedicated to solving these cases. This is Crime Stoppers Case Files.
Every year, crimes go unsolved here in Southern California. Loved ones are left waiting. I'm Joy Benedict. As a news reporter, I've covered countless crimes, countless homicides, and I know that sometimes the victims of these crimes are forgotten almost as quickly as the headlines fade. So tonight, on Crime Stoppers Case Files, we take another look at some of the crimes still left lingering unsolved in our communities. Let's get started. We're taking you back to October 18th, 2001. That's when 14-year-old Dwayne Jackson was gunned down just a few feet from his own front door. Here is his story.
Well, my son's name was Dwayne Jackson, and he was born on March 27th of 1987 as a twin. He has a twin sister. And I was just excited at the fact that at first I couldn't have any kids, and now I'm having two. Dwayne was a loving brother, always cared about anything someone would say or do to his sister. Funny, outspoken, loving kid that loved sports, loved to dress. At the time that he was murdered, the 18th of October, he had just began his first week of high school, which he was very excited about entering high school. He didn't like homework. He did not like homework. He would try to get his twin to do it for him, or he would do it and fold it up and put it in his pocket and say, it's done, don't worry about it, I've done my homework. Never liked to carry a folder, never liked a backpack, but he always kept his homework right there in his pocket with him at all times. And with it being his first year of high school, he had quite a few seniors that were his friends. So he was well loved. His dream and his goal, I think most of all, was to play sports. So that was his thing. He thought once he got in high school, he would play football. Girls and sports were his number one thing. He played sports from the age of 5 years old up until 14. He played basketball, loved skating. Skating was one of the things he loved the most, and baseball. Of course, every kid loved Christmas. He was 14 years old when he was murdered, but Christmas, I loved to surprise him, so one year I bought him the bike that he had dreamed of having. And he was the happiest person ever on that Christmas morning when he woke up to that bike. And actually it was 2 years before he was murdered.
October 18th, 2001, Thursday at approximately 1800 hours, which would be 6 p.m. That evening, Dwayne and several of his friends and a cousin were standing out in front of his house on the northwest corner of Fern Rock and Tejada in the city of Carson. This area is basically known as the Leadership Track, which is a housing track. During that time, while Dwayne was outside along with his friends and his cousin, a taxi cab pulled up to the curb adjacent to his house. The right rear seat passenger said something to Dwayne and called out to him, and according to the witnesses, Dwayne couldn't hear what he said. So Dwayne approached the vehicle, and at that time the window was halfway down, but the window came all the way down, and Dwayne was approximately 5 feet from the vehicle. The right rear seat passenger put a shotgun out the window and fired in the direction of Dwayne, striking him. Dwayne was immediately hit, went down about 3 feet from where he was hit, and the taxi cab drove off in a westerly direction away from the crime scene. But the boys were standing on the front porch area of the house, and they immediately ran down to check on Dwayne. And Dwayne, unfortunately, was killed instantly from the shotgun blast.
I was right around the corner at the gas station when a friend of mine pulled up and said, "You need to drop the pump, you need to get home." He was so adamant about me leaving my gas that I thought, this is something that must be very important. So I left the gas. I drove around the corner, and as my daughter and I drove around the corner, Dad had taped off. And as we got closer, you could see my son just laying out in the driveway from where he had been shot. And I wanted to be like this was all a bad dream. And I would just wake up and say, wow, that was a scary moment. I'm dreaming. But it didn't turn out that way. It didn't turn out that way at all. October the 18th, 2001, Dwayne was out front of our then home in Carson. A car that was posed as a taxi cab approached him as if they were looking for directions. Dwayne did what most person would do. He approached the car because he couldn't quite hear what the person was saying in the car. As he approached the car, the person in the back seat of the car put out a shotgun and shot him.
Dwayne immediately stumbled back and fell onto the ground, and the vehicle then fled in a westerly direction away from the residence. The vehicle is described as an older model, white Chevrolet Capri. They had a taxi cab emblem on top that said taxi. On the side of it, the right rear door had independent taxi written on it. And for all intents and purposes, people would believe that was a taxi that was in service. Through follow-up investigation, it was determined that that taxi cab was not associated with any local taxi company that we followed up on. There was also a phone number associated with the taxi cab, but the kids couldn't remember what the number was. So we believe that that vehicle was privately owned by somebody, or it was stolen and not reported, and that's how these suspects got a hold of the vehicle. The driver was described as a male African-American, possibly in his 20s, a long jerry curl type hair, and the right rear passenger, the shooter, was described as a African-American male who possibly also had a jerry curl, and he also possibly had a goatee. This is according to the witnesses on the scene.
The only thing I can get out of others is that this same car just drove around in the neighborhood for days, and there was some type of gang initiation where they were looking for someone to shoot for a gang.
The area where Dwayne lives is a gang area. It's infamous for the 190s, which is a street gang. It's a Crip gang. And during that time, even though Dwayne wasn't a documented gang member, he was associated by friends that were gang members. Could certainly have been mistaken identity, that these people that did this to Dwayne thought that he was a gang member and that they were doing some type of retaliation or some type of gang activity.
Did you realize that this was a baby? This was a kid. He just began his life. He was excited about beginning high school. He was excited about driving, learning how to drive. I refuse to move on because I feel like that person can do it again and again and again. When do we stop and say enough is enough? I can't bring my child back, of course, but helping to get him off the street could help other families. There's no hope for me. I mean, all I can do is get answers for what happened to my son, but that won't bring my son back. But helping to get him off the street will stop him from hurting others. And that's my goal, and that's what I'm determined to do.
We're requesting the public's assistance due to the fact this is a 10-year-old case. Dwayne was 14 years old. His family, the community, everybody would like to have this case solved. We believe there are witnesses out there. We believe people know what happened. We're asking the public to come and assist us, to help us, to make a phone call, even if it's anonymous, to the Sheriff's Department. They can contact me personally. My name is Philip Martinez. I'm a detective with LA County Sheriff's Homicide Bureau. My number is 323-890-5629. Crime Stoppers number is 1-800-222-TIPS. There is also a $10,000 cash reward that was put up by the city of Carson to have this case solved.
There is no such thing as a snitch. To me, you're considered a hero when you walk forward and say, this is what happened, I saw this car, that what took place. You're being a hero because you're taking that person off the street from hurting someone else's family or hurting some other child. Who's to say he stopped there and just killed my son and that's it? He could be out there still killing others. How do we know?
Who would target a 14-year-old, ruthlessly luring him within shotgun range, then pulling the trigger? If you have any information that can help investigators, call 1-800-222-TIPS with your information. A security guard working a night shift is brutally attacked and murdered on the job. We'll have his story after the break.
I'm Los Angeles County Sheriff Lee Baca. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department has partnered with the LAPD and other municipal police departments throughout our county to form the Los Angeles Regional Crime Stoppers organization. Crime Stoppers is an important law enforcement tool, a proactive approach to removing dangerous criminals from our streets. Each week on this television program, we will share the facts about unsolved cases, and you will have the opportunity to submit information that may help investigators without ever having to give your name. I encourage you to provide us any information you may have. I thank you for joining us and doing your part to make our community safer.
It's May 4th, 2006. Frutoso Anguiano is working his second job of the day when he was brutally murdered by 4 men attempting to rob the store. Here is his story.
My dad was a very loving person. He was born in Mexico. He had lived in this country for over 30 years. My mom and dad met here, the U.S. They got married when he was about 24 years old. He's the father of 3 girls and 2 boys. I'm in the middle of his second marriage. He would always try to do the right thing, try to teach us to always, make the correct decisions in life. Very friendly, especially it was the holidays. He would actually make our turkey for us, for the family. He was a hardworking man, very responsible, caring. He wanted me to pursue a career and be somebody in life. My graduation was really important for him. He worked 2 jobs. He was a machine operator at this manufacturing company. He did that for 27 years. He was getting ready to actually retire. That's why he got the job as a security guard. And he was planning on retiring and doing that as a part-time.
Mr. Anguiano, from everything that we've learned, was just a hardworking model citizen. He was an older gentleman, very family-oriented, had several daughters that were his pride and joy, had a grandchild. Everything that we've gathered, everything we know is he was just a good man trying to do the right thing for his family. May the 4th, 2006, it was about 10:30 at night. Originally came out, I believe, as a robbery call at Hacienda Boulevard in La Puente. It's a grocery store, Northgate Gonzales Market. Our victim, Frutoso Anguiano, was found in the upstairs break room in a pooling of his own blood. We spoke to many people, gathered evidence, and we were able to learn that there had been 4 suspects that had entered the store somewhere probably around an hour prior to the robbery call. What you'll see on this surveillance video is 2 men dressed in black wearing white hats that come in through the south entrance of the market. They immediately go past the produce section and in through the back of the store where there's dairy products and ascend a flight of stairs, and we don't see them again other than their entrance until after the murder when they exit. The other portion of the video, you'll see 2 other males dressed differently. One's wearing a red shirt, one's wearing a tan and brown pullover. They come in the market and appear to shop for a while, walking through the aisles. One of them's having a cell phone conversation. Then those same males go back and ascend the same staircase to the upper floor, and then were able to secrete themselves in an upstairs area of the market that wasn't frequented by customers. It was an employee-only area. A variety of different rooms, from air conditioning and electrical rooms to security catwalks that allowed visual surveillance of the market through 2-way glass upstairs. It appears that the 4 suspects secreted themselves upstairs, then put on masks, gloves, and appears as though they were intent on robbing the store. However, the victim in this case, Mr. Anguiano, close to the closing time, he went upstairs to, it's unclear whether he went up there for an errand or if he just went up there to complete his security rounds, but he encountered these four individuals. There's signs that there was a struggle. Mr. Anguiano was overcome. He was handcuffed. Appears he was handcuffed with his own handcuffs that he had on his belt, and murdered there in the break room above the market. Approximately 10 minutes after he ascends those stairs, you see the four males come down that set of stairs, the north set of stairs. However, those four are now wearing masks. There's been some exchange of clothing between the guys that were previously wearing the black shirts and white hats. One of the white hats is now on the suspect in the tan shirt. Come down the stairs, assault another employee of the market, and then they leave through a side service entrance of the market.
Somebody called my mom at 1 in the morning. She received a phone call that he was ill and that he was going to be taken to the hospital. They just told us to show up to the market. When I was there at the market at the parking lot, I knew something was wrong. After hours, somebody came up and just told me that they had found a dead body.
On May 4th, 2006, about 10:30 at night, victim Frutoso Anguiano was murdered at the Northgate Gonzalez Market in the city of La Puente.
LA County Sheriff's investigators hope security video will lead them to the men who murdered a security guard in La Puente. The robbers came into the Northgate Market around 10:30 Thursday night. They hid upstairs, and when 59-year-old Frutoso Anguiano went to get something in the office, he was killed.
He was working 2 jobs, sleeping like not even 3 hours, and these people are just trying to get money easily when he was working hard for it.
Investigators say the suspects hid themselves in an upstairs room until the market closed. They believe Anguiano surprised them, and that's why they killed him.
So he was just a good man trying to do the right thing for his family, and encountered these 4 males who, for reasons that I can't understand even today, they had no reason to kill him. They clearly outnumbered him and they had the advantage of surprise. They didn't need to murder him. It's senseless.
And it's been over 5 years, but it feels that it was just yesterday. A part of me died. And especially when I see my younger sister, she was 8 years old when this happened. And now she's starting to ask questions about what happened that day, why did it happen, where did it happen, how do you tell, this 13-year-old girl how her dad was murdered.
This is an absolute senseless crime. 60-year-old man trying to provide for his family, working hard. It's absolutely senseless that they had to attack and kill this man. He's just there doing his job, trying to provide for his family, and you have 4 people that enter this market looking to rob it. I mean, we're looking for the public's help. This is the type of thing that has more to do with doing the right thing than anything else. He's as innocent a victim as there is. The pictures that we have indicate that there's 4 Hispanic males, all in their 20s to 30s. I can gather from the photographs, varying shapes and sizes, from short, medium build to a little taller and huskier builds.
This is a torture for the whole family, knowing that they're out there. Nobody's turning them in.
They can call Sheriff's Homicide Bureau here in LA County. The phone number's 323-890-5500. I'm Sergeant Bill Cotter, and my partner's Sergeant Shannon Laren. Or anybody with information that wishes to remain anonymous, they can contact Crime Stoppers.
Frutoso Anguiano was just trying to make extra money to support his family. Police are looking for these 4 Hispanic males seen in this surveillance video. Do you recognize them? Your tip could lead to a $20,000 reward, so call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Crime Stoppers Case Files. Remember, we are here every week with more crimes and more families needing answers. These are your neighbors. This is your community, and you can make a difference.